Good afternoon.
Don't worry about it. Just talk.
Okay.
Recording. That's all we're doing.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg White. I'm Chief Operating Officer for Cornerstones. And thank you, Margaret, Matt, and Shashi for inviting Cornerstones to what is obviously an important symposium. Also want to introduce colleagues from Cornerstones, Joanne, Kelly, and Mel, who you'll hear from later. We are going to talk a little bit about integrated care management, and you'll note that we substitute the word care manager for case management. For a number of years, we've done case management, but now in an integrated approach to working with people, we feel as though care management more typifies the work that we do. So our mission statement, we promote equitable solutions to poverty through access to resources, strategic partners, and systems change. One of the things I want to point out here is the word equitable. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we move forward, but equitable has some significant meaning for us as an organization. To highlight what we do in the community, our goal again is to solve complex problems, and you'll see as we talk about the continuum of services that we offer from shelter all the way through home ownership that these challenges are complex. We offer innovative commitment and collective impact, meaning that we don't do this together, and we also really adopt an attitude where innovation is important to us, new ideas, new ways of doing things. Building community, we again approach problems not only from an individual family level, we also approach them from a community level as well, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. This chart typifies our strategic plan, and it's really busy, really confusing in some ways if you're initially looking at it, but it also it mirrors the complexity of some of the challenges of the lives of the people that we serve. So the headline is Cornerstones promotes equitable solutions to poverty. Equitable being different than equal. For years we've said we support equal solutions to poverty. Now because of the type of encounters that we have with individuals and with families, we know that they need more than equal treatment. They need equitable treatment. Equitable to us means that there will be certain circumstances or families or individuals that need more than other families, right? So our organization is going to invest more. Okay, it's so easy sometimes to give up on a family that's been evicted from their house 4 or 5 times, and we say that they'll never get it. Well, an equitable solution to that is to work with them the 5th time. So we take a couple of approaches to do this. On the left, you'll see a red box that just talks about the individuals that we see that have multiple needs, disproportionate barriers to achieving self-sufficiency. 80% of our clients are below area median income, and here in this area, that means that 80% of our clients as a family make less than $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Our median income here is a little over 100,000. So you can imagine how difficult it is for a family of 4 that makes $40,000 a year to live and work in this community. Ultimately, we want to move those families and individuals to self-sufficiency, and how we do that is we do it through our direct reach, which is on the bottom there, and that's our direct services, of which Joanne's involved in our self-sufficiency program. We maintain stable housing for individuals. We identify assets and benefits that they can use. We provide child care and other programs for their youth. And that results in, as that arrow goes up, increased family stability. We take a family from crisis to stability. We also look at it from a community macro level aspect. We can't change families without changing communities. So we do what we call systems convening. We're involved in neighborhood, statewide, nationwide solutions to poverty And that may mean that we are advocates. We do advocacy. We work around social policy. We have strong community voices, and we work very closely with legislators to ensure that laws and policies are passed that will help our clients avoid poverty or to get the resources that they need to rise out of poverty. That results ultimately in community, in an improved community and a more informed community, which all leads to the blue box on the right, which is self-sufficient individuals and families and a stronger community. This is a very simplified way of how we do our work, but our work is very complex. In an integrated care management model, one of the things we want to do is really create connections and partnering with other organizations, government, everybody that is working, to that end here in the community. We use an integrated care management model where care managers see clients as the center of their work, and they set goals and identify the resources needed to meet those goals. We are going to identify barriers in working with the community and community members to really learn how to overcome those barriers. Again, we're going to support economically vulnerable individuals who are referred to us from a number of different areas in the community, as well as friends, family, and word of mouth. We also are going to utilize our direct services that include housing, immigration services, transportation, parenting classes, employment, financial, and go on, child care, to ensure that an individual who comes to us in crisis has access to all those services. In our in approach for self-sufficiency, we talk about moving families from crisis to stability, to empowerment, and to hope. Our stability programs really meet people in crisis and deal with some of the issues that they're having in crisis. Our programs that help with stability are our shelter, our prevention programs, our food pantry, our rapid rehousing service, and our community case management. Empowerment really supports these individuals as they move through crisis, and our affordable rental program, financial literacy, education, employment, self-sufficiency programs that Joanne operates, as well as our care management, helps to support that. And lastly, it's hope, and hope really is having self-sufficiency within reach of those individuals who originally came to us in crisis. And so our HOPE programs include our affordable home ownership program, our child and youth programs, which we do here in Herndon as well as Reston, our community centers that are located in 5 low-income housing communities here in Reston, our resident and community programs. One is called Opportunity Neighborhoods. And then our whole idea around One Fairfax, the fact that we want to adopt equity as one of our leading, one of our guides as we do our work. That's it? Yeah, I think I got it. Okay, that's it. Mel's going to talk a little bit about his contribution to Cornerstones, and then we'll.
It's okay with Vikram is to give that your presentation, and we can ask questions.
Sure, absolutely, no problem. Thank you all for your attention.
So actually, one request I wish to make is for this group to better understand what you do, if you can describe a case study.
Sure. I'll bring my colleague up.
Hello, I'm Mel Landon, owner of Logic Studio. I'm developing a software program to help Cornerstones achieve their mission. So everything Greg just said, the software is designed to help facilitate and help measure. So we try to measure each aspect of the process. We try to understand and identify the processes that Cornerstones has with the individual programs, individual departments, and also measure all aspects of the client. so that you can better capture the state of the client when they first approach Cornerstones and understand how to establish a rate of progress as they go through the process and hopefully achieve the better outcomes at the end. So the benefits of using software to help in a mission like Cornerstones, you have a unified database, so you always know you're talking about the same client, the same person, no matter how many times the client encounters Cornerstones or any aspect of it. It's fully documented and streamlined business processes. There's a workflow that's possible in being able to automatically create referrals. After understanding and assessing the state of the client, you're able to automatically refer to the internal organizations within Cornerstones, the departments and the programs that help the client the most. There's a full audit trail. There's automated notification escalation, dashboards, metrics reporting, ability to track and forecast expenditures, and match needs to required resources. So if you're able to track the metrics, you're able to accurately measure and manage the care recipients, the clients, and track progress and outcomes against services delivered and resources allocated. So the workflow essentially is the client comes to Cornerstones and gets assessed by the care manager, and referrals get made and sent to the individual departments, and then progress is tracked, because there's the concept of an inbox, and there's the concept of the client profile that has hundreds of different properties of the client itself. So a plan is generated, notifications are sent, and progress is tracked. And you're able to report on it per client, household, department, program, grant, or donation. So it's a very comprehensive understanding of how your organization is actually operating. And the client profile itself is able to track many different aspects of a client. So you have a holistic approach to understanding who a client is, what their needs are, their risks, their long-term goals, and their level of connectiveness with society. So having one stop shop, one singular system has many advantages. To have a profile-driven system, you essentially have the ability to cross-reference and look up profiles of the different users of the system, like a care manager versus the client, the different departments, the donors, the partners, the volunteers. So you can tell which clients any volunteer has encountered or a care manager has in their portfolio, and you have the ability to understand how the services are actually delivered for any nonprofit. Ooh, they got to turn it off.
I didn't mean to turn it off.
So the bottom line is you have greater transparency and process efficiencies, and that leads to a greater incentive to donate and grant funds, because you know exactly what's happening with the funds that are being allocated, and you know that they're being maximized efficiently, and you also to achieve better outcomes because you have a better way to measure the progress of the client. Yep.
Does the client have access to this information?
No, not at this time.
That's for confidentiality purposes.
I figured, but I thought it was worth asking.
And one thing that I would like to comment, because Mel has been phenomenal in donating his time to build this for us. But I want to say that one thing that working directly with the clients that I really understand and appreciate about this is that it really works well to avoid trauma, re-traumatizing our clients. When our clients come in the past, they would have an intake with a care manager. They might have another intake with a service, for example, like employment services that I oversee. There would be another intake for financial literacy, all of them collecting a little bit different information, because for employment, you have to know certain things about their education, about skills and things like that. But there's still, I'm physically located in Herndon, okay? The care managers many times are physically located in Reston. And I have no way of getting the information that they would have the demographic information on a client in my office. So they have to go through it all over again. And so now we're going to be able to not re-traumatize people because I'll have that information. I'll be able to pull it up, and we don't have to worry about it. Someone asked about a case study, and so I'll just share one. And if you have any questions, please let me know. So this family came to us from Egypt, and they came thinking the husband was very well educated. He had a bachelor's degree in accounting, and he had 2 master's degrees in theology. He thought that he was going to be able to come here, get a job, and he'd be fine. But neither of them spoke English very well. They thought they did until they got here, and then it was like, oh my gosh. And so they were, through a church, they got put into a program that helped them with pay their rent for a little while, but it was just for a little while. And so then they applied to a program called the Partnership for Permanent Housing, which was a pilot with Fairfax County that took people who were homeless for 5 years. They would go from homelessness to home ownership. And so this family, the husband, education, he knew that was forefront. And so he said, you know what, I really want to be an accountant here. So we got him into Nova because he needed the language, right? And so he took classes in accounting. And he actually ended up getting an associate's degree in accounting. Now his wife did not speak a lot of English, and so she was taking English classes. And then she took it at, there's a program we were talking about referring outside. We don't do everything, we have to find where are the best places for our clients. So there's a program called Training Futures that works with folks who want to be administrators. And so she went to that program. It was a 5-month program, did very well. Since that time, they had 2 children. The oldest, now, and this is my pride and joy, I have to tell you, as a former educator, I look at our kids and what are our kids doing? Well, this family, during all this time, we had given them 2 mentors, a retired CPA for the husband and a former English teacher for the wife. The former CPA, she decided that she was going to be an aunt to this family, and she was going to help them understand the American educational system. Because what we found that was happening, the parents would go, okay, you can pay for the kids to have their soccer attire. You can, and we'll drop them off and we'll pick them up, but they weren't engaged at all. They weren't doing homework with the kids. They weren't going to concerts. I mean, their children were learning how to play violin, and they weren't going. And so they really worked with them on that whole parenting piece as well. Well, I'm happy to say that about 3 years ago, both parents had become employed. And I have to say, let me back up for 1 second. The husband, even after he got his degree, he didn't have some of the skill sets that we had encouraged him to get, Excel, QuickBooks, things like that. He just felt like it was, I've got to do the school thing, and couldn't get a job. And one of our partners said, you know what, we'll let him come and intern here until he can get a job. He interned there for a year, and then he got a job. He's since called me. He just got another promotion. His wife has had 4 promotions. They purchased a home 3 years ago. Their oldest son graduated from high school and is now in college, and their youngest son is planning to go to college next year. He'll graduate in the spring. So these are the kinds of things we can do if we're able to provide a holistic approach and the supports that they need, with employment. And this family went to financial literacy classes and home ownership classes for 5 years. Once a month for 5 years. So as the previous speaker discussed, this is a very intentional approach. It can't be, oh, well, we'll just give them this or we'll just give them this. It has to be, they have to have skin in the game, and this family did, and they've done great work. There you go.
Thank you so much. So I think one of the important takeaways here is that the delivery of care also needs to be managed very well. And I think this is one of the things you seem to be doing very nicely through IT and through the systems that you have developed. So if this group has some questions related to
I wanted to know that software that you're developing, is this something unique? I thought this should have been developed decades before. The answer is
Yes, it is unique.
Why I'm asking this is I'm in connection you're developed. I don't know.
I've had many people talk to us about this, and over the years Fairfax County has a software program that initially was just used for people that are in homeless shelters, and then they've expanded that use for reporting purposes so that we could track some of the clients. But it's not very interactive, it's very rigid, we can't get in and get the information we need. This program is amazing, and it'll give me any report I need for any grant I need, which is really the key, because every grant is just a little bit different. They want a little bit different information, a little bit different time frame, and so I can get all of that from this.
Are you keeping a copyright on that?
I'm sure, yes.
It's pretty generalized, so it can it's the concept that as an organization you provide services. If you can measure what those services are, what it takes to implement and deliver those services, you can start forecasting, you can do analytics. And if you have a multidimensional model of the person you're trying to help, you can measure any aspect of progress about that person that you're trying to help, so you can measure your own efficiency. So you measure yourself as an organization and the people that you're trying to help, so you can affect better outcomes and spend money in the most efficient way possible.